What's up, guys? So today's Gardening for Mental Health Day. It's a day I'm trying to start to raise awareness about how gardening benefits your mental health. So for today, I'm going to be planting this Texas redbud tree. It's a deciduous tree, so that means during the fall it's going to lose its leaves, and in the spring it's going to have pink flowers. But one of the questions I get a lot on comments and things like that is what kind of potting soil mix to use on pretty much any kind of plant I'm growing. So that's what I'm going to show you today, is how to make a basic potting soil mix. And one of the things I recommend is say you go local. Support your local businesses. Don't go to Home Depot and buy a $10 bag of potting soil mix. This is a local company called Landscape of Pride here in Texas. I will be adding a couple of amendments to it to make it a little better and help the drainage. But you want to support your local businesses. Number one, it's going to be less expensive, and you're supporting local businesses. So I'm starting with this Landscaping Pride potting soil mix. It has, like sand in it and different forest products. So I'll put one bag of those in. This in there. Another thing that I put in my potting soil mixes is compost. So again, going local with this compost company. It's called Dirt Farm here in Houston. I'm only going to add about half the bag, and the perlite is going to help you with the drainage, and that way everything drains well. This is pretty hard to find now. Like, a lot of Home Depots were sold out, but I still had some left over. So a lot of people, they don't like peat moss, but it really is the most economical thing you can use to help increase the, like I said, water retention and drainage of your potting soil mix. So I'm putting about a third of the bag of this peat moss in here. Because, you can use coconut coir as an alternative, but it's just a lot more expensive than peat moss. Significantly more money. Yeah, so part of today is... Alright, cool. Yeah, so I'm trying to start this movement called Gardening for Mental Health Day to get people to immerse themselves in nature and find a positive way to release any kind of anxiety or anything like that. A little bit with my background, I lost two brothers to suicide. My brother Nick died by suicide in 2013, and then Andrew, my youngest brother, followed in 2020. So this is really in their name, this Gardening for Mental Health Day. So if you want to share your story, you can use hashtag Gardening for Mental Health Day. So what we're doing today is planting a redbud tree in their memory. I'm growing it in a 30-gallon pot. If you're growing any kind of tree in the ground, you always want to call 811 first. I don't have a lot of space in my yard for planting things in the ground, so I use mostly containers or raised beds for everything I grow for the most part. And trying to mix it all up, get it all even. Probably gonna add another bag of that Landscape of Pride potting soil mix. This is a pretty much universal mix for almost anything you're gonna grow. I use this mix for my tomatoes, my peppers. So one of the things I've noticed is I spent like $25 on that Fox Farm potting soil mix, and my pepper plant died in it. But my pepper plants that I'm growing in my pre-made mix, what I'm showing you here, they're thriving. So it was just too much drainage with that mix. But this, has a lot, I think, more better water retention. And like I said, it's local, and you want to support your local businesses.
You have a comment from somebody. This is what I want to do in memory of my mom and dad.
I encourage you to do that then, because like I said, like for a long time after my brother Nick's death, I struggled. I gained a lot of weight, but after my brother Andrew died in 2020, I really embraced gardening. I've always been a hobby of mine, but it wasn't until his death that I really just immersed myself in it. And rather than doing anything kind of self-destructive, like eating myself to death or doing any kinds of drinking yourself to death, I've known people that when they've had issues, they either drown themselves in alcohol or drugs. And so that's why I want to try to encourage people to find a positive outlet to express any kind of emotions, anxieties they might have. So again, like Gardening for Mental Health Day is going to be every April 21st. And what we're going to do today is plant this tree. It's a little heavy.
You got a follow from a new follower of Baranka Mandy. Thanks for following the channel.
Thanks. I'm also on YouTube. You can check my link in the bio. It's Gardening in Small Spaces on YouTube too. So you can do the @ Gardening in Small Spaces, all one word, to find me on YouTube as well. But Eric here is going to help me lift this tree up so we can get it into the new container. So we're going to back up a little bit. Now when you're planting anything in a container, you always want to add some of your potting soil mix into the new container first, because you don't want to bury like the stem or the trunk in soil. So you want to get it to the top right here. So let me get me a shovel. I'll be right back.
We got a pineapple guava right there. There's a lot of beautiful things growing. This is the growing season right now.
And speaking of pineapple guava, a lot of people think this is an actual guava tree, but it's not. What kind of tree is it?
Pineapple guava?
But like it's not a true guava though.
Yeah, it's not a true guava. So fun fact about those, you can eat the petals when it's flowering, and it's basically like eating sugar. It's actually a healthy alternative to sugar. Just one quick little fun fact about them.
Little snacks. So one of the most common mistakes too I see a lot of new gardeners make, like on all the Facebook groups I'm in, is that they'll ask, why are my plants dying? And then you find out what kind of soil they're using, and it's basically either garden soil that's meant for in-ground, or it's soil straight from their literal garden. And you don't want to do that. You always want to have some drainage from either perlite or peat moss. So this needs to be mixed a little bit more. But I'm just filling in some of this soil before I add the tree in there. And at least with this Texas redbud tree, like it will greatly benefit from the compost too. So we're at about halfway, and give it a test and see if I need to add any more before we take the tree out. Let's see. Probably about good. Maybe a little less. But what I want is like the top of the tree right here to reach right here. So I don't want it to be too far down. So that's why we're adding soil. So I'm going to take a little bit out. All right. Hey Eric, can you help me? Yeah. So we flip. Get this out of the pot. think we're gonna have to flip it over. Watch out for the tree. Report tech. All right, it was just a school bus coming by. Whew, out of breath.
Thanks for joining, guys.
I'll fill in some soil over here. So these trees right here are hardy to zones 4 to 9. Here in Houston, we're zone, at least where I am, we're zone 9A. And these trees can take a frost up to minus 20 degrees. So they're pretty well suited for a majority of the country here in the U.S.
So we have a comment. If you push firmly around the plastic container, it will slip right out of the container.
Yeah, so you do want to make sure you pack that soil in. And I was going to say too.
Thanks for the tip.
You're welcome. Make sure you always plant your trees in the middle of the container so they have room to, expand. And as this tree grows, I might want to bump it up to a little bigger size, but you don't want to get too much bigger than your original pot size. So that's why I think this is 30 gallons right here. It was probably in about a 15 or 20 gallon container. So like I said, I just want to give it some space to grow.
So we got another comment that says, try beekeeping. It's great fun. Not
Beekeeping? Yeah, I wish I had the space for it. I have a small backyard.
Small backyard, but it does have a rain barrel.
Yeah, I have a rain barrel.
And it's almost full because it's been raining crazy over here in Houston.
Yeah, we had a really big thunderstorm last night. I lost power for a little bit. I have some hydroponic stuff inside, like an aero garden, and it screwed up all the lights and the clock on it, so I had to reset it. Every time the power goes off, I have to reset that. Yeah, so I encourage you guys to either plant a tree today for Gardening for Mental Health Day or tomorrow for Earth Day. That's why. And we also we're gonna plant a dwarf Meyer lemon tree improved too. I'm keeping that. So pretty much with any kind of tree that you might want to take in during the winter, 15 gallon is a good size. So for that tree too, I'm just gonna repurpose this, clean it out first, and put the Meyer lemon tree in this tree. So that way, during the winter, I can bring it inside, either put it under a grow light or bring it in the garage during like really cold nights. Because we used to, it seems like our temperatures here in Houston are getting colder each year. I had an orange tree and a grapefruit tree. It was about 8.5 years. It was in the ground. And then during the frost of 21, we had a big frost here. Yeah, both of those trees died. So I've kind of given up on growing citrus in the ground. I have one in the ground right now, but I'm contemplating if I want to try to dig it up. It's still a young tree. But so for any kind of citrus tree I buy going forward, it's going to be a dwarf variety, and I'm going to keep it in a 15 gallon either grow bag or container so I can take it inside. So like I said earlier in the live feed, is that you want to pack down the soil, because when it rains or when you water, you might have some air pockets, or you might have, it'll sink anyway. So you want to make sure you get all your soil in there firmly packed.
You have a comment. You have enough room. I got to see the ordinance changed where I reside.
I have enough room.
You see, you have enough room. I think you might, maybe right here on the side.
Yeah, see, the problem is this is the side of my house. There's a lot of shade over here. So that's why I have it by the fence to try to, have that little bit of sunlight that I can reach. So any kind of like fruit or vegetables, vegetables, probably not be good to grow over here.
I think the bee thing is great, but I don't know if the hall would allow it.
The HOA?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but I do get away with a lot of stuff over here. But what you guys growing this season? Let me know in the comments what kind of vegetable. I'm a big vegetable gardener. I'm also a master gardener here in Fort Bend County in Houston, Texas. Or we're in Siena right now, on the border of Sugar Land, which are suburbs of Houston. But like I said, I recommend buying your plants locally. So one of my favorite places to buy plants is Enchanted Gardens. They have the good thing about your local nurseries is they're going to have varieties that are more suited to your climate and your zone. You still should like research what you're buying, but if you go to like the big box stores, you might buy plants that might not survive in your area. So for example, Home Depot, to name one of them, has some date trees. You don't want to grow dates in Houston. They probably won't make it. You'll have to really protect them, and even then, like it's it's a big risk.
So you have somebody from the UK watching.
Oh, hey, welcome. What are you growing in the UK? Yeah, so
From what I heard, the UK they can grow a lot of stuff. I've seen
yeah.
some garden tours where they have a lot of great things.
I watched some gardener YouTubers from the UK, and there's a lot of different things that. So one of the things too that when when you see someone growing something online, like myself, you gotta make sure you check your zone if you can grow that plant, because a lot of times you might not be able to, or you might really have to protect it. Like there's a couple things I'm growing that I know I need to protect that are a little bit outside of my zone. Like I'm trying to grow a Japanese red maple, which I want to turn into a bonsai, and that tree's not looking very good because it's drying out pretty quickly because it's already starting to get hot here. So it looks like that tree might die, but like the point is know your risks, and some trees or some plants might not make it. But so I think we pretty much have this whole thing planted. Might be a little bit more I can squeeze in here, but you just want to get your fingers. So part of the gardening for mental health days, to get outside and really feel the soil and embrace nature. So it's okay to get your fingers dirty. Make sure you get everything, all that soil packed in there.
So you have two comments. Grow fig trees.
Yeah, I do have some fig trees. We can show you guys right over here. They look pretty good right now. Maybe we'll do a little garden tour over here. So this is I think this is I have an LSU fig and I have a Celeste fig. I think this is the LSU fig. We'll find out when it starts to fruit, but I forgot. That's why keeping a garden journal is good. I'm just starting to keep a garden journal now. But see, like you think you go remember things, but really don't. But this is either an LSU fig or a Celeste fig. And then on the other side of the yard, we have the other fig tree. So this is the second tree. I'm growing them in whiskey barrels. So like I said, like we've been getting colder and colder winters here, and this tree probably needs some protection during any kind of extreme frosts. But we have some garden friends here, some geckos. These guys are going to eat all the bugs and some of the pests too, so it's good to have them around. Here's some of my pre-bonsai trees I was telling you about. I need to pull some of these weeds, but this is that Japanese red maple tree. See, it's kind of like struggling. I think it's just too hot here, but I'm trying to leave it in the shade. But these are redwood trees. This is a dawn redwood. It was considered extinct, and they found it, so it's a living fossil is what they call it. Giant sequoia. This is a coast redwood. These are the trees on the coast of California. Japanese black pine, really popular bonsai tree. So one day these will be bonsais, but right now I'm just kind of growing them. So they're really pre-bonsais. And then we have two Japanese cherry trees. This is a flowering cherry, and this is a Yoshino cherry. It's just a little, I guess we're doing a little garden tour. Show you guys a little bit around. But I have some tomatoes, and one thing too about when you're growing things is that you want to do crop rotation. So I have tomatoes and I have a pepper plant in here, and next year I probably want to try something different in this bed. Like I don't want to grow anything from that same family. So peppers, tomatoes, and potatoes and eggplants are all in the nightshade family. So next year I don't want to plant anything from the nightshade family in this bed. I'll probably want to move it over to the other side of the yard. But one of the biggest challenges we have here in Houston is the squash vine borer. It makes it really difficult to grow squash. So I'm trying to spray BT every week. BT is an organic pesticide. It's basically just a bacteria. When the squash vine borer eggs hatch, the plan is for it to kill it, but we just had heavy rain last night, so I'm going to have to, spray it again. But I'm trying to use row covers. There's a couple of different things you can try, but growing squash in Houston is super difficult. There are some squash resistant varieties, so I'm growing a butternut type squash. It's called Tahitian melon squash. It's basically a big giant butternut squash, but that is slightly resistant to the squash vine borer. But again, the key word is resistant. So resistant doesn't mean that it's foolproof, that the squash vine borer is eventually going to get it. I have other videos too about squash vine borer if you guys want to find more information about it. But yes, there's challenges to growing no matter where you are. You can put in the comments like what kind of challenges you guys have, and maybe I can answer them. Make a video about it. But so again, Gardening for Mental Health Day, April 21st every year. Maybe one day what I want it to be is like some kind of nonprofit that can help people. Number one, it will teach people about gardening, and there's alternatives to drugs and alcohol, and that you can connect with nature. So that's the purpose of this video, is to show you guys about, number one, the potting soil, and I thought it was a good opportunity to talk about Gardening for Mental Health Day. But I encourage you guys to use the hashtag Gardening for Mental Health Day on any kind of social media. You can make a video, you can show a picture, tell your story. The point is to just get the word out and show other people that gardening is very therapeutic. It's good for anxiety, depression, like just that feeling of getting out in nature, getting exercise, getting the sunlight on your skin is, worthwhile. So I think we're going to end it there. But I just appreciate you guys joining the live feed. And this is my first live feed, so I'll see you next time, guys.